Hello guys, if you're new here, welcome back to my channel. I always say a weird channel. If you're new here, I make lifestyle, beauty, and music videos, all of the above. So today we're gonna continue talking about college advice and things I wish I would have known. If you're new here, subscribe, like, comment, subscribe, and let's get started. Something I wish I would have known when it comes to schedules is hybrid classes. If you're not familiar, which I feel like a lot of you guys who are watching, if you're in high school, whatever, I mean, we've all been through the pandemic. So hybrid has become more popular. But back when I was in college, which I'm saying it like it's been forever, it's been a couple years since I graduated. But hybrid classes are basically, I feel like they're perfection in my eyes. That's like the ideal situation for me. But basically, hybrid classes is when you do school from home. So like, let's say hybrid class for Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So that means maybe on Mondays you have to come in person, but Wednesdays and Fridays it's optional. Wednesdays and Fridays, go online to Blackboard, do a virtual meeting, and you're done, right? So I would say definitely hybrid classes. Be on the lookout for that. But if you're the type of person you thrive off of seeing people all the time, every single day, I do recommend just taking the traditional classes. Realistically speaking, like if you're someone who has like a lot of your plate, or like if you're like a student athlete, which I wasn't, but I know a lot about that, I've done my research on it, just someone who's involved in a lot, I do recommend taking like maybe one completely online class or maybe one hybrid class. You may be really tired from the night before from partying, no, I'm just kidding, basketball, or studying for that piano exam or whatever. So I would say I do recommend it. Now you really need to know yourself with this one though, because if you're the type of person you learn best by like being in there in person, then just take the traditional classes, but just be wary of like what you are getting yourself into, because a lot of the times professors, if you don't show up, it depends on who you have, but if you don't show up, that could literally be your grade. I know a couple professors, like genuinely just showing up to class can be like 25% of your grade, 50% of your grade. Something that I also wish I would have known as far as when it comes to schedules, which I feel like y'all really like this one, is that you don't have to go to class every day if you don't want to. So if you just want an MWF, or if you want a TR schedule, you can do that. So it really just depends on who you are and exactly like what you want to do. So if you're the type of person, let's say you're commuting to college, right? And you have like a part-time job and you work 3 times a week and you can only take classes 2 times a week. Look at the Tuesday and Thursday classes. You can do that. Or let's say you just you don't want to go to school every single day and you're just like, my mom is saying I have to be here, or I really don't want to be here, and you didn't have the mindset going to college, but you might, let's be honest. So if you do have that mindset, you don't have to. So that's something I wish I would have known, because it's very helpful. Which takes me to my next point, professors. So for professors, this is my advice to you. Professors are your friends, they're not your enemies. So you better go in there and yeah, kiss them, but they're not your enemies. So I did this, but I wish I would have known, this advice given to me. Take advantage of those office hours. So if you don't know, basically what office hours is, it's like the time that your professor has for you or other students to come in and like talk to he or she about problem that you have going on, or you just want to get ahead, things like that, or you want to know, hey, well, I just want to know how to study for my class, how do I do this and that. So I'm looking at my list and I'm trying to decide what's going on. So let's talk about schedules. Something I wish I would have known when I was in college is, how do I read this schedule? Yes, we talked about credit hours, we talked about how to sign up for classes, but let's say I'll probably put up on the screen like a generic college schedule, or I may even put up my schedule from freshman year if I can find it. But how do you reschedule? So let's say, for example, you're in or how do you understand what teachers are saying? So let's say, for example, you're in like a WhatsApp group, or you're just in a group with like your professor, because a lot of times in this day and age, professors, they'll come up to you, they'll want like their students to join in something virtually to keep updated. So let's say your professor, these texts in the group are like, MWF 8:30 to 9:30 a.m. be there immediately, textbooks. What does that even mean? right? So if you're thinking that, MWF, which you'll see that a lot in college, MWF is Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So what that means is on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, you'll always have that class during that time. So let's go back to the example. If your professor, if they said MWF 8:30 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. stat, you gotta be there. That means every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, you'll have that class during that time. Another thing is TR, which means Tuesday and Thursday. This is something I definitely had no idea what they were talking about when I saw my schedule. I was like, R? What? I was like, is that what day of the week is that? Is that Saturday? Because I'm signed for Saturday class, which yes, in college you can have a Saturday class. I don't know about Sunday, depending on what type of college you go to, but you can have a Saturday class. So I was a little confused when I first saw that. I'm sure I was. TR means Tuesday and Thursday. So let's say in the group chat, your professor, they say TR 8:30 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. That means that class is on Tuesday and Thursday at that time. Definitely wish I would have known, just to clear up confusion. It is really confusing. I mean, you don't usually see Thursday starting with an R. There's no day of the week starting with an R. So just pay attention to those things. If professors see you constantly showing up, not constantly, but if you're like making an effort to show up to office hours, they will see that. They will acknowledge that you will stand out from other students. So I do recommend going to do that. I'll tell you guys a story. So back when I was in college, oh man, I was taking, I think it was a prob and stat class, and I did not use ratemyprofessor.com before that, so it was going to be like, anyway, I digress. The professor was rated, I think, the worst professor on campus, so that's nice, and it showed. So a lot of students were struggling in that class. And so what I did was I went ahead and I went to office hours a lot. So even if you're struggling one day, or even if you're 1 point away from passing, that professor will remember you. A lot of the times, if you just make an effort, because a lot of students, they don't show up and they don't have enough time. So professors, they will remember you. So I do recommend going to office hours and really getting to know your professor, because it will benefit you in the long run. Because let's say you're in your junior year of college and you have to take this professor for 5 out of 10 of the last classes you have left to take. You want to be on their good side, you know? I'm going to put this up on the screen. RateMyProfessor.com is one of the best websites ever. Like I said before, I told you guys a story about professors. She was rated the worst professor in the university, and I did not know about this. And I wish I would have known to go in there. I mean, obviously, after I used RateMyProfessor.com, because I didn't have the worst experiences with professors prior to that, but it's very helpful. So basically, in short, what RateMyProfessor.com is, it's just a website where you can type in your college, where you go to, and you can type in your professor's name. So a lot of students from previous semesters, or even the current semester, wherever you're at, they will rate your professor, or that professor, and they'll actually, a lot of times they'll give like feedback. So example of that is, let's say you don't know who to take for math, right? Because a lot of times you do have a choice to decide who you want to take for math most of the time. Reviews may say, oh, this person, she's really nice, like her tests are super easy. If you go to class, you understand what's going on. Or another review may be like, if you don't show up to class 2 times, that's it. Because that's realistic. Some professors, they really will, nip it in the bud after 2 classes and not showing up. So I do recommend doing that. And after you use that, if that's the only option you have and that professor is really mean based off of the reviews, I would just make amends with them and become, not befriend them, but I would definitely get on their good side. Well, to end this video, because it's gonna end soon, I want to briefly go over roommates. Talked a lot about like finances in college, taking classes, ratemyprofessor.com, which I'll link down below, and I can go in depth a whole video about each topic. I know that a lot of people or students, they struggle with, how do I know where to live on campus? What's the best place to live? Will I have drama with my roommate? This and that. So my advice to you is, a lot of the times these universities or colleges, they have a lot of resources that you can use to see if you're compatible with living with someone. So I know for me, I'll give you guys an example because I love to give examples. When I was a freshman in college, I don't think I was able to take this test after the fact, like my sophomore to senior year. But I do remember when I was a freshman in college, I was going to college, I took this personality test, and who I was at that time basically said that I was most compatible with people, like living with people who are like on the more introverted side, people who like to read, because I am a book girly, by the way. And if your college has something like that, I recommend taking advantage of that. Now, if your college doesn't have something like that, because I don't think all colleges do, that would be a blessing if they did, but they don't. Get real with yourself. Think about, who are you, right? Who are you at least right now? Are you a very clean person? Are you not a very clean person? Will it get on your nerves if someone is always on you about cleaning? Will you be the one who's always getting on someone's nerves about cleaning? Think about what you like. How are you with your siblings? If you're the only child, face things like that. And then if you do live with your parents, I know some of y'all don't, but if you do live with your parents, I recommend just talking to them and just saying like what you guys can work out, because I don't think this is a decision that you ultimately want to make on your own. You can maybe make like the final decision. I do recommend talking to them and just seeing like, hey, like, what should I do about this? I do recommend seeking advice from them, because you've probably lived with them, depending on your situation. I know everyone, because you can be in foster care, you may not even have your parents, but if you're in this situation, I would say probably talk to them. Know that a lot of the time people, they go on like Facebook to look for roommates. Do I recommend? I would say yes, but it also depends, like if you know that person or not. I don't recommend just moving in with someone randomly unless you really feel like you're a good fit. I would just say be wary with that. But a lot of the times, if your college doesn't have like a test, they'll just room you up with someone. Now, I know something that a lot of people, they have trouble with is like, well, I don't like my roommate. They don't talk to me. What do you do? Because I've had some really good roommates in the past, but obviously throughout like the years I was in college, there were some people are like sweet mates. You can't get along with everyone. So my advice to that is, yes, you can move rooms. Yes, you can do this and that if you feel uncomfortable. But truthfully, I feel like you should wait it out at least a little bit and try to make amends with them, because you are living with them. Think about it from their perspective as well. They're going into college probably for the first time, or it's their first time living with you as well, or just someone they don't know. So people, they cope in different ways. I know sometimes it may be annoying, because I know a lot of college students, which is why they have RAs, or residential assistants, but to help out with conflict and things like that. Think about it this way: living with someone new is like a new skill. And let's say you only live with them for like one school year and it was like awful. Not saying you should stay the whole time, but let's say it was just like awful sometimes. At least you can look back and say, hey, like, I don't want to live with someone like that. And you can take that knowledge and those skills you developed of it being unbearable or bearable, whatever, and you can like apply it to either back with your family or like relationships you may have. So I do recommend staying at least a little bit and waiting out. If it's like really, really, really bad with the roommate and they're like bullying you or things like that, because that still can happen after high school, I do recommend, I guess you can leave, but you need to think about the financial aspect of it as well, because sometimes if you leave and you want to go to like a single room or something like that, it can be $1,000, $2,000 more, and you just need to make sure that you have that in your budget. If it's not in your budget, I would sit down and talk to your roommate or roommates, whoever, and just make the best out of it. Y'all, at the end of the day, you don't have to like them, and I know a lot of people, they may think like you have to be best friends with like your roommate. You don't have to be. You can't just like coexist, but you still have to be around them. And I think it's a really good life skill to have, because it'll teach you about dealing with people that you may not want to be around, like whether that's in the workplace or that's with at home with like whoever. So I do recommend waiting it out. Obviously, if it's like detrimental to your mental health, get out immediately, or detrimental to your health. But if not, just wait it out, because I know a lot of the times, especially like freshmen, they're trying to navigate what even is this, like I've been living with mom and dad, or I've been living in a shelter, and I've and I've never lived in this room by myself, or you know. This concludes part 2 of the college life video. If you guys like this type of stuff, let me know. Let me know any questions you have about it. Let me know if you want to do high school advice, graduated, this and that. I would definitely love to help y'all. This was a lot of fun filming, but yeah, I have to go now, so bye.